Let's take a look at how organizations around the United States and around the world are responding to Al-Aqsa Flood, the Palestinian rise up and struggle that is happening right now. The National Lawyers Guild says it stands in solidarity with the people of Palestine in their struggle against the settler colonial state of Israel, affirming and protecting the legal right of Palestinians to resist the colonizing power that seeks to annihilate them. International law also upholds the right to self-defense for peoples under colonial and foreign domination and subjugation, reaffirming the legitimacy of the struggle of peoples for independence, territorial integrity, national unity, and liberation from colonial and foreign domination and foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle. The Party for Socialism and Liberation has come out with a full statement and is calling for people to join in protest and demonstrations across the country. The Party for Socialism and Liberation statement: free Palestine, free all Palestinian political prisoners, and all U.S. aid to the Israeli apartheid regime. This is from October 7th, yesterday. The statement goes on to say, the unrelenting oppression and occupation carried out by the Israeli apartheid regime has precipitated a counteroffensive by Palestinian resistant forces. The Israeli war machine and its attendant systems of oppression are bought and paid for by U.S. imperialism. U.S. tax dollars fund the grinding oppression of the Palestinian people to the tune of $4 billion each year. Resistance to apartheid and fascist-type oppression was labeled terrorism by U.S. politicians when the African National Congress took up arms against the racist apartheid regime in South Africa. The same false terrorism label is being applied to the Palestinian people. The people of the United States are going into the streets right now to say free Palestine, cut all U.S. aid for the apartheid regime, and free all Palestinian political prisoners. Israel is currently carrying out a massacre of historic proportions against Gaza and all throughout Palestine, slaughtering hundreds. The bombs and missiles that are raining down on Gaza right now are paid for by U.S. tax dollars. Instead of using money to meet people's needs, the U.S. government has shamefully extended Israel a long-term military aid agreement worth $38 billion. The corporate media and politicians want the public to believe that Israel is simply defending itself from terrorism. That's a lie. The actions of the resistance over the course of the last day is a morally and legally legitimate response to occupation. It was brought about by escalating Israeli oppression on numerous fronts. Less than a year ago, a new far-right government came into office in Israel. Regardless of which party is in power, the Israeli government has always imposed occupation and apartheid. But the new administration, which includes openly genocidal fascist senior ministers who control the police and prison system, is intent on taking this to unprecedented heights. For the sake of time and also not getting a strike on my account, I'm going to skip over some of the PSL's statement and go right to the end here. Please do check out the full statement on liberationnews.org. The statement ends, the Israeli government is carrying out a bombardment of unbelievable proportions, targeting Palestinian civilians in an effort to take revenge on the resistance. Shortly after the war broke out, Lloyd Austin pledged that over the coming days, the Department of Defense will work to ensure that Israel has what it needs. The U.S. government is just as complicit in this massacre as Israel. Now is the time to mobilize and demand freedom for Palestine. And the Foreign Ministry spokesperson for China has released a statement as well. China's stance on escalation of tensions between Palestine and Israel. China is deeply concerned over the current escalation of tensions and violence between Palestine and Israel. We call on relevant parties to remain calm, exercise restraint, and immediately end the hostilities to protect civilians and avoid further deterioration of the situation. The recurrence of the conflict shows once again that the protracted standstill of the peace process cannot go on. The fundamental way out of the conflict lies in implementing the two-state solution and establishing an independent state of Palestine. The international community needs to act with greater urgency, step up input into the Palestine question, facilitate the early resumption of peace talks between Palestine and Israel, and find a way to bring about enduring peace. China will continue to work relentlessly with the international community towards that end. And now from South Africa, we have a statement by the Economic Freedom Fighters. The EFF stands with Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. EFF statement on the escalation of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The Economic Freedom Fighters has noted developments in the Israel-Palestine conflict. The EFF calls for the protection of children, women, and civilians in the military conflict between Hamas and apartheid Israel as a priority. The EFF squarely puts the blame of the escalating conflict on the continued occupation and oppression of the Palestinian people in their own land. The continued expansionist policy of apartheid Israel state is provocative. The building of settler houses in the land of Palestinian people and further land encroachment is against numerous United Nations resolutions that apartheid Israel has flatly defied. The apartheid Israel government is in a perpetual breach of international law against annexation, and as a result, their aggression gives rise to violent resistance. The expansionist policy and further construction of settler houses in the Palestinian land is an impediment to the peaceful resolution of the century-old Israel and Palestine conflict. The annexation of Palestinian land and killing of Palestinian children is violent, and violence begets violence. Land dispossession is a violent exercise that undermines the very humanity of the Palestinian people. The people of Palestine have an inalienable right to their land and have a right to self-determination. These rights, when not peacefully offered, are inherently violently acquired. As a result, apartheid Israel will never know peace for as long as the land of Palestinians is occupied, and more of the little remaining is annexed. The EFF applauds those in solidarity with the struggle of the people of Palestine and calls for unshaken commitment to the cause of Palestinian self-determination on their land, free from incursions and encroachment by the apartheid Israel state and its settler land expansion policy. All peace-loving people must support the Palestinians' right to arms in self-defense of their self-determination and sovereignty. The EFF has long called for practical support and defense of the rights of Palestinians, and therefore all those who purport to support peace and justice must support the Palestinian campaign to take back their land from illegal occupation and annexation by apartheid Israel. The people of Palestine have been subject to violent land dispossession, bombings, and infringements of their rights to free movement and religion for decades. And their response to this violence by Israel must never be misconstrued as the acts